Cornel West and Tavis Smiley go on Democracy Now! And they light a flame. Man, they came in with a blowtorch, especially Cornel West. So first of all, here's what he had to say about the president.
I mean, I'm glad there was not a right-wing takeover, but we end up with a Republican, a Rockefeller Republican and Blackface with Barack Obama, so that our struggle in regard to poverty intensifies.
That's a pretty rough assessment of President Obama.
Oh, that's what we have. That's what we have.
Wow. A Rockefeller Republican in blackface. Okay, now that's super strong. First of all, Cornel West is one of the few people in America who could even dare to make that statement. Anybody else would be in a world of trouble, right? Now, second of all, is he right? Well, on the substance of President Obama not delivering for African Americans, he's almost unquestionably right. The Congressional Black Caucus has said that if he was a Republican president or just even a white president, they would be up in arms. They'd be marching on the White House. So in some ironic way, so the fact that President Obama is black allows him to ignore the plight of blacks more in this country. Now, look, I'll give you a general sense, and this is more about the poor and the middle class more than about race. But President Obama did home modification programs, and it was slated to be around $50 billion, which, by the way, is nothing because they gave the bankers through the Fed $7.7 trillion. But they didn't even do the modification program they said they would do on mortgages. In the end, for homeowners, they got a piddling $4 billion. Now, it's also connected to race in the sense that more African Americans and more Latinos had a greater percentage of their wealth tied up in their homes. So when their homes went under, a great percentage of their wealth also went under. So that's why they got disproportionately affected. They also got disproportionately affected in unemployment. And what has been the response so far? Not much. Even when we had a recovery, 93% of the recovery went to the top 1%. That was not during the Bush years. That was in 2010, during the Obama years. Now, that's the substance of it. But obviously, Cornel West said it in a very inflammatory way. Jayar, I know that you've got some thoughts on this. What do you think? Too far?
Yeah, well, it's only, as we know, I mean, we've had other criticisms as we do on the show about Obama and the things he's done and things he hasn't done and things he could do. Everybody knows that. But the thing is, at least you need to have a way that you do it. Cornel West has a respected name, and he's listened to by a lot of people in general, not just black folks. People respect him. But when you come and start throwing names or lob things like a Republican in blackface, first of all, that's saying that all Republicans are white, which we know the vast majority are.
Well, I'll give him that one, Jay. Come on.
But I'm just saying, yeah, but it's going into the mudslinging name calling when you're smarter than that. And now you can easily be pushed aside. If you actually want something to change or want President Obama to listen to you or hear what you have to say, there's a way to approach this. It's like, how do you go and talk to someone and you start off, I'm not saying it's the first thing he's saying, but you go into it and just go calling names that actually don't really match up. I mean, where's why blackface? We know that's an offensive.
For it. Now, look, I'm kind of mixed on this, but look, Jayar, so two things on this. Number one, if he had just said all the criticism about, hey, you know, poverty wasn't addressed, the African Americans left out in the cold, et cetera, and he said it on Democracy Now! Now, you know it. We've been covering the media together for over 10 years now. You know it wouldn't have gotten 1% of the press. I don't know if it would have gotten any press. Now, the reason people are paying attention to what he said is because of the way he said it. So that's very relevant, obviously.
That's the thing. I don't think they're listening to what he said anymore. I mean, I remember, and I'm one of the few people, I thought Dennis Kucinich has a lot of good points when he ran in the primaries back in 2008. But he said one time that he saw UFO. So they can easily shove him aside. You don't have to listen to anything else he has to say because that's the crazy guy who said UFO. Now, Cornel West, who's actually a smart guy who has a lot of excellent points, he's that crazy that they call Barack Obama a Republican in blackface. Now, even people even in the establishment of the Democratic Party can say, oh, that guy's crazy. And they can now shove him aside and get more people to listen to them, shove them aside. And now he's losing his voice.
No, I hear you. And that's a great point. But it's not crazy and out of this world to call President Obama a Republican in blackface. I'm not saying I agree with it, right? What I'm saying is he's saying he looks like he's one of us, but he's not one of us. He's saying it's a Trojan horse. So he's got a blackface, but he's not acting that way. Now, look, there's no one way of acting black, so I disagree with Cornel West in that sense, too. And, Jayar, I definitely hear your arguments, and I don't want brother Cornel to lose the strong voice that he has, and if he gets discredited, right or wrong, by the rest of the media, I'm worried about that, right? But at the same time, he's one of the very, very few people in the country who's actually saying, hey, what about poverty? And what about African Americans? And what about the fact that these Democrats and Republicans largely agree that they're going to give all the breaks to the rich again, even after President Obama got elected? So in the end, you know what? If he was among Jayar, out of the dozens of people, hundreds of people trying to bring attention to this, and he steps out in this way, I would say it's self-aggrandizing, as a lot of people are now saying, right? To try to stand out from that crowd. But since he's among the very, very few that are doing it, and he shouts it in a way that we might not necessarily agree with, I'm much more willing to give him a break on that.
As long as I don't know, it just leaves a bad taste. I would hope that I'm gonna have my own prediction. It's not gonna get you anywhere. They're not gonna listen just because you went with the name calling. That I don't even see the connection. But still,
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. And let me tell you something. They weren't gonna listen to him anyway. Okay. They're like, oh, what'd you say? Oh, poor people? That's a good one. Look at this. Look at Brother Cornel with the joke. Look at Brother Cornel with the joke.